Latest Browns news. Deshaun Watson just got some great news, and that means Baker Mayfield finally has a date on the calendar, a date he's been waiting for years. But that's not even the biggest surprise of the day, because Shedeur Sanders just got some news that completely changes the course of his season, and it's much more definitive than anyone expected. On top of that, one of Cleveland's most exciting young weapons is dealing with something that could sideline him just when the offense needs him most. Click the like button, because this story is full of twists and turns. Let's start with Mayfield and what has just become a reality for him. Alright, so here's the deal. The Baker Mayfield is finally getting his revenge game, and honestly, it's been a long time coming. Cleveland made it official on Monday. Deshaun Watson is QB1. Todd Monken went with him over Shedeur Sanders after a battle that stretched all the way from OTAs through training camp and both preseason games. Monken's reasoning? He looked at the whole body of work, offseason, camp, joint practices, preseason snaps, and decided Watson gives this offense the best shot to actually move the ball and put points on the board, especially opening the year on the road. Now here's why this matters so much for Mayfield. The Browns kick off in Jacksonville week 1, then turn right around and head to Tampa to play Mayfield and the Buccaneers on September 20th. And Baker's not pretending like this game is just another game. Dude went on the 4th and South podcast and basically said Tampa is home now. I only played 4 years in Cleveland, felt like forever, this is home now. It's time to show them which home is better. That's a shot, and everybody knows it. Let's rewind for a second, because this rivalry runs deep. Cleveland took Mayfield first overall back in 2018. He was the guy who finally snapped their playoff drought in 2020. First postseason win the franchise had since 1994, but 2021 fell apart. He played through a torn labrum, threw for just over 3,000 yards with 17 touchdowns, 13 picks, team went 8-9, and the relationship basically cratered from there. So what did Cleveland do? They went out and got Watson, sent Houston 3 first-round picks plus more, handed him a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million deal. Mayfield asked out, got shipped to Carolina for a conditional pick, and get this, his very first game with the Panthers was against Cleveland. He nearly stole it too, clawing back from a 20-7 hole before a last-second field goal gave the Browns the win, 26-24. Watson wasn't even playing in that one. He was serving an 11-game suspension, so Jacoby Brissett was under center. Mayfield's Carolina stint lasted all of 7 games before he got cut, bounced through the Rams briefly, and finally found his footing in Tampa, where he's rebuilt his whole career. Now flip it to Watson, because his side of this story is rough too. He's dealing with a fan base that's turned on him. Got booed loudly during that 31-7 preseason blowout loss to Buffalo, went 5 for 12, 36 yards, threw a pick, and afterward called the reception personal and disrespectful. He walked that back once he got named starter, saying he understands the frustration that this organization went all in to get him back in 22, and things just haven't gone the way anybody hoped between the injuries and the time missed. Since that trade, Watson's only played in 19 regular season games for Cleveland, 9-10 record, 19 touchdowns, 12 picks. Not exactly what a $230 million investment was supposed to look like. So yeah, week 2, Tampa, Mayfield versus his old team and the guy who replaced him. Circle it. Alright, that's Mayfield's side of it, but flip over to the other quarterback in this story, because what just came out of Berea is way colder than you think, and it just dropped. Shedeur Sanders is not your week 1 starter, and Todd Monken made sure everybody knows this isn't up for debate week to week. Monken confirmed Watson as QB1 on Monday, closing out a competition that ran through the entire offseason, camp, and both preseason games so far. And just to make sure nobody thinks this is some game-by-game evaluation, Monken flat out said it. We're not anticipating this being a week-to-week thing. That's about as clear as it gets. This is Watson's job, period, at least for now. Here's the thing though, it wasn't like Sanders got blown out of the water in this competition. Monken admitted Watson was ahead for most of camp, but Sanders closed the gap significantly, and the coach gave him real credit for that, saying he's excited to watch Sanders keep growing as a player. So why'd Watson get the nod if it was that close? A big piece of it comes down to the schedule. Cleveland opens on the road against Jacksonville and Tampa Bay back-to-back, and 6 of their first 9 games are away from home. Monken said his focus was purely on that first game, being on the road, dealing with silent count situations, and that factored heavily into going with the more experienced guy. He was also clear that the whole Buffalo booing situation, where Watson called the crowd reaction personal and admitted he didn't know how he'd handle what basically felt like 17 away games, did not play into the decision. Just one piece of a bigger picture, according to Monken. Now, what really stands out here is how Sanders handled getting the news. No pouting, no attitude. The kid responded with the same positivity he's brought to this whole process. Monken couldn't stop praising him for it. He was awesome. You talk about somebody that really understands the long game. He had a smile on his face because he understands what's really in front of him. He's gonna work his butt off to get better. That's high praise from a coach who clearly could have just as easily gone the other direction with this competition. Bottom line for Sanders right now, his path to the field just got a lot narrower. Cleveland's got one more preseason game left against New England, and neither Sanders nor Watson are expected to play in it. So for now, Shadir's locked into a backup role, watching, learning, and waiting for whatever chance comes next. Now here's the thing nobody's talking about yet. While all that quarterback drama was happening, Cleveland quietly got some concerning news about one of their fastest weapons. Isaiah Bond didn't practice Monday, and that's a problem the Browns really didn't need right now. Bond's in concussion protocol after taking a shot to the head during Saturday's ugly 31-7 loss to Buffalo. Here's where it gets weird though. He actually got cleared to return in the third quarter after getting evaluated in the second. He just didn't end up going back in, mostly because a lot of Cleveland starters were already done for the day at that point. So him sitting out Monday tells you he developed symptoms after passing that in-game check, which means now he's got to work through the full NFL concussion protocol before he's cleared to practice again. Good news is the Browns still have a couple weeks before the opener against Jacksonville, so there's time. But this timing stings a little because it could cut into the reps Bond gets building chemistry with Watson right as Cleveland shifts its whole focus toward week 1. Let's talk about why this guy matters so much. The Browns signed Bond as an undrafted free agent last training camp, purely off his game-breaking speed. He earned a role fast, played in 16 games as a rookie, started 2, and finished with 18 catches for 338 yards, which comes out to a ridiculous 18.8 yards per catch average. Dude's a home run threat every time he touches the ball. He added some weight this offseason trying to round out his game, and Monken's actually pointed out that speed isn't even his most underrated trait. It's his balance and body control, being able to get in and out of his breaks without losing that burst. But he's not just handed a role either. He's in a crowded receiver room with Jerry Jeudy as the established vet, plus rookies Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston pushing for snaps too. Now for some actual good news, the Browns got several key guys back on the field Monday. Running back Quinshon Judkins returned after dealing with what Monken called a nagging injury, which is huge for an offense that's leaning on him heavy in year 2 after he put up 827 yards and 7 touchdowns as a rookie. Cedric Tillman, fullback Michael Burton, D'Angelo Ross, and Tariq Sapp were all back too. But the biggest boost came on the defensive line. Veteran Malik Collins passed his physical and is finally eligible to practice after spending camp on the PUP list. Don't expect to see any of these returning starters in Thursday's preseason finale against New England though. Monken's holding them out to keep everybody healthy while the coaching staff sorts out the rest of the roster battles. Watson's QB1, Sanders is playing the long game, and Bond's health is now a real question mark heading into week 1. You buying Monken's plan here? Drop it below and subscribe so you don't miss a single Browns update.